Okay, so it's turn 87 now of Hell in the Hedgerows. The ceasefire is out there because we're not going to be making any progress on the left here. It's just a bit of a too much of a meat grinder. We don't have enough meat. The meat's not cooperating as well. It keeps running away. So we've agreed to ceasefire. So we're just going to press go here and see what we get. And we'll see how long it takes for the ceasefire to actually come into effect. That little radio message there was just the last round going out for the artillery barrage. The long, slow one. And Jen's got a Sherman down there, which we just took out. I think we just took that out with a Panzerschreck. Well, at least we're going out with a bang. And yeah, Sherman's redeploying this way. Oh yeah, we may as well give it a look over just in case. I don't think we really got anything going on there. There's some MG fire. Be worth checking checking events in the village and down by the rail objective. And these guys, if these guys are getting shot up at all, nah, they look like they're fine. So let's see what happens with this Sherman. It's, definitely has a bad day. And, oh, look at all that fire coming there. Ah, there we go. There it is. It's the Rhino Sherman from behind the church. Got this squad coming up the road in yeah, don't do this if you play combat mission. These guys somehow have survived, and yeah, there we go. We got the Sherman at least. Let's have a look at that again. So up they come. It's turning. There's the Panzerschreck gunner. Boom. See if you can't see the. Yep. There's the Panzerschreck shell. It's just hit down there. Boom. That is one knocked out Sherman. That'll do. And these guys, in the meantime, see, the issue is even with the yeah, see, they're still running away, pinned instantly, and then off we go. At least the Panther's putting some fire out, so you know, perhaps we could have gotten in there, but don't think it's really going to matter that much. So let's press go. And we get a British Army minor victory. It's actually a lot closer than that. It's the terrain objectives that are making the difference here. General has 3 objectives for 240 points. The rail bridge is contested because we've both got troops in there. And then I've got the East Fort for just 80 points. But once you start to factor in the casualties, Jen has caused 159. Or he's got 159 points, rather, from killing my pixel shotgun, and I've got 213 from killing his. So there's actually a fairly chunky difference here. When you add it all up, General's lost 44% of his force, and I've lost just 29% of mine. Which is actually really surprising, because I basically handed Jen the initiative at the start, let him pick the ground he wanted to fight on, let him dig in on that ground, and then was obliging enough to pretty much attack right into his face. So the idea that I've caused higher casualties is actually a little surprising, because that doesn't sound like a recipe for success, does it? But digging into it, Jen has 296 men still going, 104 dead, 111 wounded. He's got one man missing, that was that Bren gunner. 6 of his tanks have been knocked out. He's lost a Bren carrier, a Bedford and a Willis Jeep, and an aircraft got shot down. I think that was a Spitfire. He had a mix of Spitfires and Typhoons in the end. Me, on the other hand, I've got 421 men still kicking, so almost 100 more. I've lost 94 dead, 82 wounded, 3 tanks, that's the 2 Stugs and the Panther that got shot in the face by the Firefly. Technically, we could probably round that up to 4, because the Panther down at the farm on the right is technically dismounted, but the crew is kind of not remounting it because it's damaged, so who knows. And then on top of that, I've lost 6 Kübelwagens and Opel Blitzes. Thank you, RAF. Now, there's 2 important things to kind of bear in mind here. First of all, back on February the 5th, when we actually played this final turn, it's now May the 6th, so a long time ago, we had a bit of a problem with the final turn. There was something went a bit wrong somewhere, so we had to replay it. And interestingly enough, some different stuff happened. So if we go and look at the map here, you'll notice that this Sherman isn't burning. The Rhino Sherman that got Panzerschreck isn't burning, and the Panzer Grenadier squad coming down the road that inflicted said Panzerschreck shot on it in the live turn that you got showed is lying down, desperately trying not to get killed. You also notice a big pall of smoke here, and that this Panther at the back has fired a round off and taken out this Sherman here, and these guys who have evac'd it, bailed out. So a few different things happened, so it's not 100% accurate, but you know, it's good enough. The other important thing is that obviously that turn did have quite a bit of footage afterwards to go with it, but I had the music turned on in game, and it starts playing the end game music cue, which is very, very aggressively copyrighted on YouTube. So that's why I'm re-recording this now, months after the fact. Because when I uploaded the video, YouTube just said, nope, nobody can see this. So, yeah, that's why this is slightly different. But while I might not be in tune with all the details, I've got to, had plenty of time to kind of ruminate on the bigger picture here. And like I said, it's a lot closer than it looks. If we actually go down to the crossing objective, I've basically been held up here by a few teams. So we've got a 2IC section, a company 2IC hanging around here. Those guys are suppressed. These guys are a bit less suppressed. They've got 14 casualties between them. That's just a third of a rifle squad. That'd be the Sten gunner. And then where have we? These guys here, which was the Bren team from that detachment. There's only 1 survivor. And there's his buddy with the Bren gun, who's now dead. They got 10 casualties between them. So when you actually eyeball it, that's the surviving squad member there. When you actually get down into the nitty gritty, all my problems here basically came from 2 teams. And with enough pressure, they're gonna crumble eventually. Especially with the Panthers coming. All these guys here are pretty upset, not really in a position to fight. There's like some scattered riflemen. In the original turn with the tank exploded, there's not really that much resistance, especially not you know, if the Panthers do their job, knock these guys up, we get up to the hedgerow, then we're contesting the objective, and then it actually comes out as a draw rather than a minor victory for a gen. So a lot closer than it looks. Something else that would have been actually really useful down here would have been artillery. I probably didn't take enough, well, I say probably, I definitely didn't take enough artillery. And my TRPs are in bizarre places, and I can't remember why I put them there. So we've got one there, which is useless, and one here, which is sort of okay if you're already on top of the crossing and you need to defend this wood. But not if you have to attack the crossing, which was basically what the plan ended up being. So, yeah, questionable decisions there. Yeah, the big problem at this objective was the reverse slope, because we just couldn't really put effective fire down on it. And if we had some mortars or some artillery firing along this road here, thanks to something like a TRP, then we could really have done a lot better down here, really kept my own casualties down. But, you know, it always seems super obvious in hindsight, so yeah. What else have we got? The Panthers, yeah. Well, I only lost one, and that one lost the duel with a Firefly, which is funny, because every time I put a Firefly up against a Panther, it seems to not do very much. The Firefly seems to lose, so maybe I'm just unlucky. So there's that one is definitely dead, and then we've got this one here, which is effectively destroyed. It's out of action. There are so many hits on the front of that, it's not even funny. But broadly speaking, I haven't really got my points value back for those. You can argue that, you know, well, if we look at the kind of casualties they caused, so that one caused 2, that one caused 1, and and 2 Shermans it knocked out. This one caused 5 casualties and a Sherman, and the one down at the farm caused again 2 casualties and 1 Sherman. So, you know, you can sort of argue they've done well in their anti-tank role, but yeah, I don't think I've got my points back from those. The Stugs, however, where is our Stuggy friend? There he is. That one killed a Firefly and a Sherman on its own, and that was purely because it got up there in good time. This one, of course, not so lucky, got strafed and destroyed by typhoons. In a similar vein, we had the recce troops and the packs, the Pack 40s. Actually done quite well. They've been really useful. So this one has been putting fire into the town, and this one has been putting rounds into things down here. And the recce troops, of course, we had this recce team here. That's the one. 13 casualties between them. These are the guys who got up here and machine gunned all the Tommies who were coming directly into the house. It's really, really well done to those little pixel children, even if they are completely out of ammunition now. And we really didn't get more results out of these units because they got strafed by the Typhoons and the Spits right at the start. And arguably here the Panthers might have been doing a better job. You remember I kind of just stashed them in the woods as early as I could to avoid them getting strafed. Maybe I should have left the Panthers out in the open, because they could soak up that kind of firepower from the RAF without getting destroyed, just having their optics and exterior systems degraded. And that might have let the Stugs and the Packs and the recce troops get away with it, as it were, and, you know, not get pasted quite so badly. You might have even beaten Gen to some of the other positions, which is what really really made the difference, the fact that he was there first. But hey ho. The other thing I would have changed was the infantry. Now the infantry's done a really good job, a lot better job than I was kind of expecting it to do, but again I suppose that's too much time playing as the allies. And it is obviously really nice to have 2 MG42s down at squad level. One thing I would change though is to have every squad has a Panzerschreck, and they don't need a Panzerschreck. They really don't need a Panzerschreck down at squad level. They've already got enough little bits and bobs with the Panzerfausts and things. They don't need that kind of firepower. This is a bit like my handling of the Panthers, a bit of a relic, I think, of me playing as the Allies too much. You know, I probably treated my Panthers here a lot less aggressively than I could have done, because they can soak up punishment, as long as it's not too close. And I could have done a lot better out of them, probably. This one's just like covered with 6-pounder shots that have just ricocheted off. Then again, with the Panzerschrecks and things, Allies are usually fairly skimpy on anti-tank weapons. So there's kind of a, ooh, let's make sure we have Panzerschrecks so we don't have any problems. But yeah, shouldn't have worried about it. And obviously those points, that would have actually freed up a considerable amount of points that I could have spent on more useful things like artillery. The other thing with the... I covered the TRPs, didn't I? Yeah. So the advance in the village and up the riverbank, that went really well. A lot better than I thought it would be. Yeah, I thought it would do. And that was an exercise in, you know, getting the fire support up. We've got the flak wagons and the pack and the MG42s, all these things, getting them up to where they can help. We had some classic street clearing tactics, you know, with the supporting fire cutting off the rear of the buildings and then just going door to door. You know, if the enemy stay, they get overwhelmed. If they run away, they get shot in the back. That was some pretty textbook style linear village clearance going on. But after that, it kind of fell apart a little bit. Jen had all his gubbins up here. See, he's got a Vickers team and a couple of Shermans. There was this Sherman and the Firefly hanging around here at one point, and you know they were able to put fire down into the riverbank here and be a royal pain. And I didn't particularly have an answer for that. It wasn't something that really I considered, which was, you know, poor planning essentially. But we still got on the objective. It's a shame that we didn't. I say it's a shame. Pushing across here. With these pixels up in here, probably a mistake, but we didn't know that at the time. Again, we probably just didn't have enough pressure to drop on enough pressure to put on Jen's troops here, and then once again, TRPs in places where we might actually be fighting would be really handy, wouldn't they? But yeah, overall it was a really good game. Lots of fun. Really interesting. We had quite a few, you know, like the village clearances and the crossing assault, and this goddamn platoon or less that Jen was like pushing at me with up here, which was a massive pain. And then at the end, it just comes down to the psychology. One of those kind of like rolling rules, or part of my experience at least of combat mission, is it always feels worse than it is, and it always feels like you're doing less to the enemy than he's doing to you. But you know, we can look at the statistics on this one and say that actually we were dishing it out. Probably a little bit more, much more than I'd expect in attacking an enemy who's picked his ground. So, like I say, a lot closer than it looks. And of course, hats off to Jen for putting up what was essentially an excellent defense. constantly getting those little... I can't count the number of times where everything went wrong or we took casualties because there's just one pixel truck and one pixel Tommy with a Sten gun or a Bren gun just in exactly the right place at the right time. You know, taking full advantage of the ground and the air power and everything that the Allies have at their disposal. You know, it's a victory well deserved here, I would say. But yeah, there we go. That's it for Hell in the Hedgerows, guys. Well done if you're still here and you've watched it all the way from the start. It's been a bit of a marathon, 87 turns. And yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment, like and subscribe, and we should have the next one up relatively soon. I don't want to put a time on it because we're still playing the game, but hopefully the next one should be in the not too distant future. And it should be a combat mission Black Sea one. It's a very interesting, fairly messy game. Pretty brutal, lots of casualties. So yeah, interesting one. So there's that to look forward to, guys. And yeah, like I say, hope you enjoyed it. I'll catch you in the next video.